On the other side of the line, Caleb took 2 seconds to understand Evan's sentence, and another 3 to express his shock. He sputtered, unable to form a complete thought, questioning if he'd heard correctly. Evan's quiet laugh confirmed it. Caleb's disbelief escalated through a series of fragmented questions, his voice rising with each one. Evan simply affirmed his statement. Caleb, now practically shouting with excitement, began a jumbled inquiry about the when and how of it all. Evan cut him off smoothly, explaining he was busy at the moment but asking if his brother was free to talk later that evening. Caleb insisted he was more than free. He would make time. Evan couldn't give a specific hour, promising to call once his final design draft was finished. Caleb pleaded with him to forget the work and just tell him now. Evan laughed again, insisting it was impossible. The deadline was that night and he was almost done. He promised to work as fast as he could. Caleb's reaction left Evan with a pleasant buzz of energy, and he found his hands moving faster across the tablet. A message from his overeager brother popped up every 5 minutes. At 8:53 p.m., Evan saved the file, sent it off, and picked up his phone to see dozens of unread messages from Caleb. A smile touched his lips as he typed a quick reply, letting his brother know he was done for the day and heading home. The response was immediate and demanding. Evan assured him he was moving as quickly as possible before switching to his call screen. Liam had been in meetings all day, not getting back to his studio until after 7. In that entire time, he had only eaten a small pastry his assistant had bought for him and had a glass of milk. Evan knew Liam didn't have a large appetite, but small was not the same as non-existent. He was just shutting off the lights in his office when Liam answered the phone. Liam's voice was warm as he greeted the hardworking designer. Evan returned the sentiment, asking how much longer Liam would be at work. When Liam replied that it would be a while yet, Evan began to mutter about the uselessness of long meetings. A soft laugh came from the other end of the line, followed by an agreement. Evan suddenly remembered to ask if Liam had at least been leading this one. Liam confessed that he had not. He'd been dozing off in a corner. This information seemed to satisfy Evan, who cursed the meetings again, a little louder this time. Liam echoed the sentiment. Watching the elevator doors slide open, Evan changed the subject, inquiring if a certain someone was hungry. The answer was a simple, definitive starving. It was rare to hear Liam admit to being hungry, which meant he truly was. The elevator doors began to close. From Liam's end, his voice came through again, a little weaker, complaining that he was too hungry to move. Evan laughed, informing his little assistant that he had 10 seconds. Liam was curious what he planned to do in 10 seconds. Evan explained that it was how long it would take for the elevator to descend and lose signal. The call cut out just as he said it. In that brief silence, his mind raced through a list of late-night food options. The signal returned with a soft ping as the elevator reached the ground floor. Evan immediately began listing possibilities: honey-glazed ribs, beef chow fun, buffalo wings, steak chili, pasta with marinara sauce, asking what Liam wanted to eat. A chuckle was the only response, followed by Liam turning the question back on him. Evan admitted that just listing the food was making his own mouth water, but he insisted Liam choose. Liam was playfully stubborn, stating he wouldn't decide until Evan did. The familiarity of this exchange made Evan grin. Relenting, he declared his choice for beef chow fun. Liam thanked his assistant. Evan was confused by the thanks, asking what he thought he was going to do. Liam's tone was matter-of-fact as he stated that Evan was going to order the beef chow fun and have it delivered to his studio. When Evan played dumb, Liam's voice dropped, becoming low and laced with a hint of a whine as he repeated that he was hungry. Evan could never resist that tone. With a cheerful capitulation, he told Liam to wait, promising he'd be there soon. Evan hadn't initially planned on delivering the food himself. It was getting late, and Caleb was waiting for his call. His first thought had been to simply place an order for Liam. But this new plan was better. Seeing him, even for a moment, was a good thing. After ordering a car, he sent a quick text to Caleb. It might be a bit later than planned. The response was a string of frantic questions. Evan explained that Liam was working late and hadn't eaten dinner, so he was bringing him some food. Caleb's reply was a mix of understanding and desperate impatience for Evan to hurry. Evan could almost picture his brother pacing on the other side of the screen. The best beef chow fun in the city came from a bustling hot pot restaurant. At this hour, the dinner rush had subsided, so Evan only had to wait a few minutes for his takeout order. Driven by the idea that Liam was on the verge of starvation, he rushed through the entire process, managing to arrive at the studio with the food less than half an hour after their call had ended. Most of the staff had already gone home. The first floor was lit but empty. Evan had seen pictures of the studio on Liam's social media many times, but seeing it in person made it feel more tangible, more real. He thought it could easily double as a modern art gallery. Following Liam's directions to the second floor, he quickly found the office. Through the glass walls, he could see 5 people inside. Liam was at his desk, his assistant standing beside him speaking animatedly, while 3 unfamiliar faces sat on the sofa, all engrossed in their work on their laptops. Evan approached quietly, but before he reached the door, Liam looked up. The assistant followed his gaze. Liam beckoned for Evan to come in. Evan had imagined many scenarios on the way over. He'd pictured himself sitting across from Liam, watching him work. He'd pictured stealing a few bites of food while Liam ate. He'd pictured being there to hand Liam a drink when he was thirsty. But all those scenarios had one crucial condition: that the 2 of them would be alone. With so many other people present, Evan felt a sudden wave of self-consciousness. He knocked lightly before entering and walked towards Liam's desk. The assistant had just finished his conversation with Liam. They shared a brief, knowing smile before the assistant's eyes landed on the bag in Evan's hand. Evan held it up slightly, explaining he'd brought something for Mr. Right to eat. The assistant started to say that Liam had already eaten, but stopped himself mid-word, swallowing the lie and instead asking what delicious thing he'd brought. After Evan told him it was beef chow fun, the assistant commented on how good it smelled and then retreated to join the group on the sofa, immersing himself back in his work. Liam pulled a chair from the side and placed it next to his own. Evan understood the gesture and walked around the desk. Before he could sit, Liam's arm shot out. One hand clasped Evan's wrist while the other wrapped around his waist, pulling him close. Then, Liam leaned his head sideways, resting it against Evan's stomach. The unfamiliar sensation made Evan press his lips together. He snuck a glance towards the sofa. The 4 people there now seemed to be staring even more intently at their screens. Reassured, Evan allowed himself a wide, silent grin where no one could see it. He took a deep, steadying breath. He asked if Liam was tired. Liam's muffled affirmative was his only reply. Evan placed a hand on Liam's head, patting it gently a couple of times as he praised the hard-working Mr. Right. The only sound in the office was the soft clatter of keyboards from the sofa, which somehow only amplified the quiet intimacy of the moment. After a few seconds, Liam's grip tightened, pulling Evan even closer for a fleeting moment before releasing him. He pushed the chair back into place. Evan sat down, his tone sympathetic as he remarked on how pitiful Liam seemed. Liam mumbled about poor Liam. Evan chuckled, agreeing. Liam returned to his work. Evan pulled the bag on the desk closer, whispering that he would have bought more if he'd known so many people were still there. Liam pointed out that he wouldn't have been able to carry that much. Evan countered that he could have just had it delivered. Suddenly, Liam reached out and pinched his cheek. Evan's protest was broken and quiet, mindful of the silent office. Liam's question was soft but direct. Did Evan really think he just wanted beef chow fun? Evan was momentarily stunned, asking what else he could have wanted. Liam clarified that he did want the food, then asked Evan to open it for him. Evan complied, voicing a concern that it might be awkward for Liam to be the only one eating. Liam assured him it was fine. Everyone else had already eaten. When Evan asked why he hadn't, Liam's reply was simple. He was waiting for his little assistant. The smile returned to Evan's face as he teased Liam about what would have happened if his little assistant hadn't brought him anything. Liam's deadpan response was that he would have starved. Evan's playful mood subsided, replaced by a more serious tone. He reminded Liam that he needed to eat properly, especially given his small appetite, him not to ruin his stomach by skipping meals. Liam nodded repeatedly, promising to listen. Evan added a gentle threat that he had better. Once the container was open, Evan mixed the noodles and handed the chopsticks to Liam. But Liam seemed oblivious, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Evan moved the chopsticks closer, waving them in front of Liam's face. Liam finally took them. Evan watched as he picked up a piece of beef and noodles, lifted it, and then moved it towards Evan's mouth. Before Evan could protest, his mouth was full. He laughed through the food, telling Liam to eat. Liam then took a bite for himself. The next few minutes unfolded much like one of Evan's earlier fantasies, albeit with a much larger audience. He watched Liam eat, but his friend couldn't even finish the small portion, declaring himself full after less than half. Evan, left with no other choice, finished the rest himself. It was clear that Liam was incredibly busy, so Evan didn't stay long. After cleaning up, he left with the trash. Now it was time for Caleb. His brother was clearly agitated. Calling the second, Evan walked through his front door, not even giving him time to take off his shoes. His excited voice came through the phone, insisting that changing shoes wouldn't interfere with their conversation. Evan laughed, asking what was so urgent. Caleb demanded to know if it was true. Evan, kicking off his sneakers, confirmed it was. A loud wow echoed from the other end. Caleb was incredulous, reminding Evan that just last week he had claimed to be straight. Evan calmly stated that he had been. The series of events that must have transpired in such a short time left Caleb at a loss for words. Evan explained that nothing dramatic had happened. He had simply realized he quite liked Liam. Caleb pressed for details on how this realization had come about. Evan chuckled, stating that it had just happened. He wasn't an idiot. He knew when he liked someone. A string of expletives came from Caleb, who then asked when exactly this had occurred. Evan figured it had been sometime in the last few days. The revelation left Caleb stunned, a literal chill running down his spine. He expressed a sense of disconnect, struggling to reconcile the brother he knew with this new information. He questioned whether Evan even seemed like the type. Evan retorted that Caleb's gaydar was clearly not as sharp as he thought. For some reason, this sent Caleb into a fit of laughter. Once he recovered, Caleb asked about the current situation. Evan admitted there was no situation yet. He hadn't figured things out. When Caleb asked if he was unsure about pursuing Liam, Evan clarified that he was sure about that part. What he didn't know was how to pursue a guy. Caleb scoffed, pointing out that it wasn't as if he had any experience pursuing girls either. Evan conceded the point, but noted that he had at least seen how men pursued women. He had no reference for how men pursued other men. Caleb brushed it off, saying it was the same thing, going out, getting dinner, seeing a movie. He reminded Evan with a laugh that they had already done all those things, with Caleb himself often tagging along. Evan pointed out that they had done those things without him, too. Caleb went on, saying that what Evan had just done, bringing Liam food, counted as a move. He advised Evan to keep up their frequent conversations about everyday life. Evan confirmed that they already did that. Caleb then suggested occasional gifts, even flowers. Evan's ah of realization was audible. He had sent flowers twice. This news surprised Caleb. Evan explained that the first time was a thank you gift for a vintage typewriter Liam had given him, and the second was a hostess gift when he'd gone to Liam's for dinner. Caleb made a thoughtful sound, a hiss of someone processing new, complex information. He then suggested surprising Liam from time to time. Evan asked if showing up at his door late at night counted. Caleb exclaimed that it absolutely counted, amazed that Evan had done such a thing. Evan himself laughed at the memory, explaining that Liam had been in a bad mood, and he'd brought over some food to cheer him up. Another long wow came from Caleb. He pointed out the pattern. Evan, a supposedly straight man, had done all these things for Liam. He had even kissed him when he was drunk. Evan didn't deny it. "You're lucky he didn't punch you," Caleb remarked. Of course, Liam hadn't. Evan was perfectly fine. Caleb's words, however, made Evan see his own actions in a new light. He had been rather forward, hadn't he? "I really didn't know you had it in you to seduce Liam like that," Caleb mused. This time, Evan didn't argue. He even thought his brother had a point, though he protested the choice of words. Caleb suddenly laughed, and Evan found himself laughing along. Caleb admitted that now he could finally see it. Evan didn't seem so straight anymore. When Evan asked why, Caleb explained that when Evan had sent a particular video to their group chat last week, he had suspected something and tried to send a subtle signal, but Evan had been completely oblivious. He'd been overwhelmingly straight last week, but today was different. There was something magical about the change. Evan's deadpan response was that he had just turned. This sent Caleb into another peal of laughter. He found something incredibly amusing about the way Evan talked about all of this, a sort of innocent confusion. Evan admitted he still didn't really understand it all. Curiosity got the better of Caleb, who asked how Evan had finally figured out he liked Liam. The question made Evan a little shy. He mumbled that he just felt differently about him. Caleb pressed, asking if he had impure thoughts about Liam. Evan sputtered a denial. Caleb laughed, asking what it was then. Evan finally explained that it started when Liam mentioned there was someone he liked. When Caleb asked for an update on that situation, Evan impatiently told him to let him finish. He recounted his timeline. Liam had a crush, and Evan realized he wasn't happy about it. Caleb correctly identified this as jealousy. Evan reluctantly admitted it might be. Caleb's laughter started up again. When Evan asked what was so funny this time, Caleb explained that it was the first time in his life he was hearing about Evan's romantic feelings, and the experience was just strange. This only made Evan more embarrassed, but Caleb begged him to continue. Evan ordered him to be quiet if he wanted to hear the rest. After a moment of thought, he realized there wasn't much more to it. After that, he just understood. Caleb let out a long ah, concluding that Evan must have liked Liam for a long time. Evan wasn't sure, but supposed it was possible. Caleb remarked that it took a bit of a shock to make him see it. He then asked about the person Liam liked. Evan explained that this was the reason he had decided to pursue him. Liam didn't like that person anymore. The slow, confused huh? From Caleb was exactly the reaction Evan had expected. He knew it sounded fast, almost fickle. He explained that Liam had said they weren't a good fit, though he didn't know the full story. Caleb's teasing tone returned as he noted the sourness in Evan's voice. Evan denied it, then conceded that maybe he was a little sour. A thought suddenly occurred to Caleb. He wondered aloud if it was possible that the person Liam liked was, in fact, Evan. Evan immediately dismissed the idea. He explained that Liam had described how they met, and it had nothing to do with him. Caleb sounded disappointed, but then laughed, remarking on how Evan had shut him down every time he'd had a suspicion. First about Liam being gay, then about Evan himself. Evan offered a half-hearted compliment on his brother's persistence. Caleb encouraged him to pursue Liam with confidence. Evan, however, pointed out with a laugh that based on Caleb's own checklist, it seemed he had already completed all the steps of courtship. Caleb agreed, joking that they should just get together already. When Evan told him to get lost, he just laughed again. In a quieter, more serious tone, Caleb admitted that he truly felt Liam liked him back. Evan was skeptical, asking why he thought so. Caleb explained that he'd had a feeling from the first time they all met, though he hadn't had enough evidence to support it back then. Evan countered that it was impossible at that time. Liam had still been caught up in his story with someone else. Caleb conceded the point but brought up another. Liam was gay, and he had been incredibly tolerant of all the things Evan had done. If that wasn't affection, what was? The thought made Evan happy, but he remained rational. He wondered what other choice Liam had. Was he supposed to actually punch him? Caleb groaned in frustration. Evan had done it again, using his relentlessly practical logic to dismantle a perfectly good romantic theory. But Caleb wasn't ready to give up. He insisted that Evan was the one who was wrong. He was thinking too much like a straight man. He explained that Evan needed to reevaluate his relationship with Liam from a new perspective, one that wasn't just about physical orientation but also about emotional understanding. Evan admitted that while his ears understood, his brain needed some time to process. Caleb told him to take his time. He was new to this, and there was a lot to learn. Evan promised he would try. Caleb, suddenly taking on the role of a proud mentor, told him to study hard and come to him with any questions. Evan thanked him profusely. Caleb then remarked that his brother was surprisingly innocent when it came to romance. Evan asked if that was a bad thing. Caleb assured him it wasn't. In fact, it was wonderful, but one couldn't be purely innocent forever. He trailed off, saying they could talk about that later, after Evan and Liam were officially together. Evan noted that his brother seemed more confident about the outcome than he was. Caleb declared with certainty that Evan would succeed 100%. The confidence was contagious. By the end of the call, Evan felt buoyed, ready to take on the world. A mere 5 minutes later, however, the reality of the situation sank back in. This was Liam Wright he was talking about. Though the conversation with Caleb hadn't been groundbreaking, it left Evan feeling light and comfortable. He supposed it was the relief of having his feelings acknowledged and supported. Now he understood why Caleb used to enjoy talking to him about his ex-boyfriends so much. Felt good to talk. After a shower, Evan lay in bed and began to think. He replayed Caleb's advice about shedding his straight man thinking and started to review every interaction he'd ever had with Liam. It was strange. Their relationship could easily be defined as friendship, but it also felt like it existed on a plane just above it. He thought about his past actions and had to agree with Caleb. He had been a real piece of work. He was lucky Liam was so forgiving and had continued to treat him as a friend, attributing his behavior to straight boy obliviousness. Then, a new thought struck him. What if he hadn't been so oblivious? What if he was a fake straight guy? From that perspective, what did his actions over the past month mean? He couldn't pinpoint the exact moment his feelings for Liam had changed. He tried to break down their interactions, analyzing his role in each one, but he only ended up confusing himself. He was rescued from his spiraling thoughts by a vibration from his phone. It was almost midnight. A text from Liam saved his brain. It was simple, just got home. Evan replied with a message telling him good job, that he'd worked hard, and to sleep well. Liam responded in kind, wishing him good night first. Suddenly, a new path opened up in Evan's mind. He realized all his overthinking was useless. The primary mission now was to win over Liam. He deleted the good night he had typed and replaced it with a single word. Don't. Liam's reply was immediate. Don't what? Evan typed back, I'll wait for you to get home. He added instructions for Liam to let him know when he was home and ready for bed, and only then would Evan say goodnight. Liam warned him that it might be very late. Evan didn't care, he would wait. Just after he sent the message, his phone rang. It was Liam. The unexpected call startled him so much he almost dropped his phone. A flirty text was one thing, but a call was a whole different level of intimacy. He cleared his throat and answered with a cheerful hey. Liam mimicked his greeting. Evan asked why he was calling. Liam reported that he was in the car on his way home. Evan scolded him for calling while driving. Liam playfully retorted that he didn't care. He was calling anyway. The audacity made Evan laugh. He knew why Liam had been working so late. A major event tomorrow had run into venue and planning conflicts, forcing the team to scramble and create a new proposal from scratch. He asked if everything for the event was sorted out. Liam confirmed it was. Evan praised him, marveling at his efficiency. Liam just laughed and said his name, Evan. Evan feigned indignation, asking if he wasn't allowed to compliment him anymore. Liam assured him he could, stating that he was honored to receive Mr. Evans's praise. Now it was Evan's turn to say his name, a little breathlessly. When Liam asked what was wrong, Evan's voice softened as he announced he was giving Liam a point. Liam sounded genuinely surprised and asked why. Evan simply said there was no reason. Liam pressed, asking what the non-reason was. Evan's voice grew louder as he declared that if Liam asked again, he would get 2 points. Liam, thoroughly amused, asked why. For acting out, Evan said he was getting 3 points. Liam's laughter filled the car. Liam was on the phone, and music played softly from the car stereo. The soundproofing was excellent, blocking out all external noise. Evan closed his eyes, listening to Liam's familiar playlist, and for a moment, he could almost imagine he was in the passenger seat next to him. Time passed, and Evan started to feel drowsy. He must have been quiet for a while, because Liam's voice suddenly cut through his haze, asking if he had fallen asleep. Evan's eyes snapped open. He forced himself to sound awake, denying it and humming along to the current song to prove he was listening. Liam chuckled, saying he knew Evan liked the song, but he was home now. They let the song finish in comfortable silence. Two people in different parts of the city, connected by a shared melody. When it was over, Evan closed his eyes again, listening to the sounds on the other end. The car door closing, the beep of the elevator, the footsteps in the hall, the final click of the apartment door. Liam announced he was home. Evan, half asleep, murmured a response, telling Liam his voice was beautiful. In the quiet of the night, it sounded deeper, richer, like a recording from an old vinyl record. It was also incredibly hypnotic. Liam asked if he was still not going to sleep. It was well past midnight. Evan was exhausted, but he didn't want to hang up. He wanted to keep listening. He lied, saying he wasn't sleepy and that he would wait for Liam to go to bed too. There was a pause on the other end before Liam asked why he was being so clingy tonight. The question shocked Evan awake. He denied it, his heart starting to beat faster. After another moment of silence, Liam agreed that he wasn't. Then he announced he was going to take a shower. Evan told him to go ahead, saying he could just leave the phone on. He heard a very faint, short laugh, so quick he wasn't sure if he'd imagined it. Liam simply said, "Okay." Evan had assumed Liam would just leave the phone on his bed while he showered. He didn't expect Liam to take him along. The sound suddenly became hollow and cavernous, and Evan realized something was wrong. He asked if he was in the bathroom. Liam's affirmative "hum" made Evan's eyes widen. His mind, unbidden, started to paint a picture. The last vestiges of sleepiness vanished. He fumbled for his earbuds on the nightstand and put them in. He could hear Liam brushing his teeth, then washing his face. A moment later, a rustling sound came through the earbuds. He asked what Liam was doing. The reply was a simple getting undressed. Evan clutched his blanket. Then came the distinct sound of a belt buckle. He closed his eyes, a wave of heat spreading through him. He lay flat on his back, listening to the sound of running water, his mind a battlefield of images. He tried to push them away, feeling like a pervert for even imagining them, but he couldn't stop himself from wondering what part of his body Liam was washing right now. The sound of the water finally stopping was a relief. Evan hadn't realized how tense he was until he felt his muscles slowly relax. He heard footsteps approaching. Liam's voice came through, announcing he was done. Evan managed a small "oh." Liam commented that he thought Evan had fallen asleep. Evan muttered that of course he hadn't, then told him to go dry his hair. The hum of the hairdryer filled his ears. The heat was becoming unbearable, and Evan kicked the covers off his upper body. Liam's hair was short, so it only took a few minutes for the noise to stop. Liam reported that he was done. Evan told him to get to bed. As if performing the final steps of a ritual, Liam carried the phone out of the bathroom, turned off the light, and got into bed. He said goodnight, and then the line went dead. The silence was deafening. Evan lay there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, the earbuds still in. There was no way he could sleep now. His mind was filled with everything. He let out a sudden laugh, pulled the covers back over himself, and took out his earbuds. He opened his phone and sent a poke notification to Liam. 2 seconds later, Liam poked him back. A text followed. "Still awake?" Evan suddenly remembered Liam mentioning that he liked it when Evan called him bro. He switched to the voice message function and said the word. Liam replied with a voice message of his own. "What is it?" The 2-second message, gentle and seductive, was something Evan listened to 3 times. An idea sparked in his mind. He typed out a text, reminding Liam of their bet about his coworker's plant blooming. He declared that Liam had lost. Liam, seeming to know where this was going, asked if he had decided on the stakes. Evan confirmed that he had. Liam told him to say it. Evan's lips curved into a slow smile as he typed, "Say, babe." After sending the message, he threw the covers off again. His heart was hammering against his ribs. The notification at the top of the screen changed to "Liam is typing." Evan stared at the screen, watching as a new message appeared. It was a 2-second voice note. He jabbed at it with a trembling finger. "Babe." A small, involuntary cry escaped Evan's lips before he clamped a hand over his mouth. Oh my God. He was smiling so hard his eyes disappeared. He played it again. Liam's voice, with a slight upward inflection, was steady and magnetic. It was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. He listened one more time before composing a nonchalant reply. "Okay. Got it. Go to sleep." He had to act cool. He had to. Liam wished him good night. But there was no way he could have a good night's sleep after that. He lay in the dark for a few minutes, feigning calmness, but the itch was unbearable. He picked up his phone again, listening to the message on speaker, then with the phone pressed to his ear, then with his earbuds back in. When he had memorized every nuance of the single word, he scrolled up through their chat history, marveling at his own audacity. He didn't remember falling asleep, but reality and dreams blurred together. In his dream, his phone was enormous, and Liam was inside it, wearing the black trench coat Evan loved. His hands in his pockets, a smile in his eyes as he said, "Evan, my little babe." The next morning, his alarm, a custom recording of Liam's voice, woke him up. As the final "a new day has begun" faded, Evan slowly opened his eyes. It was the first time in his life he had woken up feeling so clear-headed, so refreshed. He reached for his phone to turn off the alarm and saw a morning text from Liam, sent over an hour ago. The artist was an early riser, probably already at the event venue. Evan sent a morning back, then played yesterday's Babe one more time. Evan had a mountain of work to get through. He was going to Liam's for dinner, which meant he had to compress an already tight schedule. He worked at 1.5 times his normal speed all morning, determined to leave on time. During his short lunch break, he sent a text to check on Liam, who was on the outskirts of the city. He sent a surprise inspection message, asking what he was up to. Liam replied with a photo, clearly taken in a hurry. It showed one of his fingers pointing at a restaurant across the street, with a caption explaining he was about to get lunch. Evan sent an okay received back. Liam then asked what Mr. Evans was doing. Evan took a picture of the small cot he was about to put away. He hesitated, then retook the photo, this time making a small heart with his thumb and forefinger in the frame. Liam was waiting at a crosswalk, the sun bright overhead. He shielded his phone screen with his hand as he opened the picture from Evan. A smile spread across his face. He texted back, "Okay, received Mr. Evans's love, Mr. Evans." Replied that he was going back to work. Liam told him to go. Once he was sure Liam wouldn't be messaging again, Evan folded up his cot. A thought occurred to him. He probably needed to tell Liam that he was also gay now. Otherwise, Liam would still think he was the same straight guy who, just last month, had so adamantly told him not to get the wrong idea. This was going to be awkward. How could he bring it up casually? He certainly couldn't just say, "Hey Liam, I'm gay too." He decided to worry about it later and get back to work. His breakneck pace paid off. By 3 o'clock, he had finished everything for the day. Just as he was looking for something to do to pass the time, a message from Caleb arrived. He asked if Liam was at the Xylo event today. Evan was surprised his brother knew, and Caleb sent him a link to a live stream on Twitter. A blogger was streaming from the event, and people in the comments were asking him to find Liam. Evan immediately clicked the link and put on his headphones. The background of the stream matched a photo of the venue that Liam had sent him earlier. He switched back to his messages and confirmed to Caleb that Liam was indeed there. Caleb replied with a knowing "oh-ho." The stream had just started, so there was a good chance of spotting Liam. The blogger's camera was stationary. He seemed to be aimlessly chatting with his followers, eating cookies and recounting his day. After a few minutes, he finally mentioned Liam's name. He explained that he had seen him briefly that morning but hadn't had a chance to talk. He wasn't sure if Liam would appear on camera, as he was in charge of a different section of the event. But he added that there was a press conference later, so Liam might come by to check on things beforehand. He leaned closer to the camera, confiding in his viewers that Liam looked incredibly handsome today, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. The comments section exploded with squeals of excitement. The blogger, pleased with the reaction, continued, remarking that his followers were surprisingly well-informed to know Liam was even at the event. A message from Caleb popped up. "Have you ever seen him wear gold-rimmed glasses?" Evan replied with a dejected no. He'd only ever seen him in his rimless pair. He immediately switched to his chat with Liam. "You're wearing gold-rimmed glasses today?" Took 2 minutes for Liam to reply yes. "How did you know?" At the exact moment the message arrived, Liam appeared in the background of the live stream. The blogger was still rambling on about his morning when the comments erupted again as viewers spotted Liam. The blogger noticed, laughed, and moved slightly to the side, announcing Liam's arrival. He was standing near a door by the stage, dressed in a black suit and white shirt. A few strands of hair swept back, looking impossibly elegant. Evan switched back to his chat. "Guess whether I saw you or saw you or saw you." He sent the message and quickly toggled back to the stream. He saw Liam scan the room, then pick up his phone and start typing. It was a strange, thrilling feeling. The comments were a blur of OMG and hubby, and the viewer count was climbing rapidly. Liam's text arrived. "Where did you see me?" Evan replied, "I saw you looking for me. Guess where I am." He switched back just in time to see Liam, who had apparently realized what was happening, look directly at the camera. The comments section went into overdrive. After a wave of pure excitement, a new trend emerged as everyone started calling him husband. On screen, Liam lowered his head to type again. A second later, Evan received his message. "You're watching the live stream?" Evan replied, "Yes." Liam put his phone down and smiled at the camera. The reaction was instantaneous and explosive. The comments were scrolling too fast to read. A torrent of husbands smiled at me. Evan pursed his lips, a smirk playing on his face. He thought, "Your husband is smiling at me." Seizing the opportunity, he joined the chorus, typing husband into the comment box. He went back to their private chat. "You look so handsome today. I've never seen you in those glasses." Liam explained that he had forgotten his usual pair at home. Evan typed back, "Can you wear them all day today?" The reply was swift. "If Mr. Evans wants to see them, of course." Mr. Evans sent a happy face emoji. "Mr. Evans wants to see." On the stream, Liam took a call and disappeared behind the door. The viewers grew restless, asking the blogger where he went and if he would be back. Evan waited with them. A few minutes later, a message from Liam popped up. "I have to go work." Evan asked if he would be back on the stream. Liam said no, there was nothing left for him to do in that area. Evan expressed his disappointment. Liam's next message made him smile. "You can look at me tonight." Evan replied, "I'll look at you all night." The answer was "You can." Evan closed the stream and told Caleb that Liam wouldn't be back. Caleb responded with a simple okay, then asked, "Can you two just get together today? I'm getting impatient." Evan laughed at his brother's urgency. Caleb pressed on, asking if Liam had been texting him just now. When Evan confirmed it, Caleb made a series of clicking sounds with his tongue. He deduced that the smile at the camera had also been for Evan. Again, Evan confirmed it. Caleb begged them to just make it official, for his sake. Evan told him he was being ridiculous. They were still nothing. Caleb let out a dramatic whine of frustration, but Evan insisted that his impatience wouldn't change anything. With fewer people in the office, Evan felt no guilt about slacking off for the rest of the afternoon. When the clock struck 5, he was out the door. He had already arranged with Liam to go to his apartment first and wait for him to get back from the event. He managed to beat the worst of the rush hour traffic and arrived at Liam's place in 15 minutes. The winter evening fell quickly. Evan turned on the lights and sent Liam a message to let him know he had arrived. Liam was just leaving the event. He was in the car when he received the text. He habitually started to take off his glasses, then paused, remembering, and put them back on. He replied to Evan first, then opened his group chat. Half an hour earlier, Ian had messaged him asking if he was free for a poker game, as they were one player short. Liam typed a curt no, followed by, "My baby is waiting for me at home." Ian's reply was immediate. "Baby already?" Liam's response was simple, always has been. His baby was currently on the sofa, playing with Comet, Liam's cat. He cooed at the animal, his voice high and sweet, telling it how cute it was. Comet seemed to understand, purring and rolling over on the cushions. Evan's voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper as he stroked the cat's belly. "Do you think your dad will like me?" Comet responded with a soft meow. Evan laughed, asking what that was supposed to mean. Suddenly, he sat bolt upright and looked towards the security camera in the corner. He hoped Liam wasn't watching. Surely he wouldn't go back and check the footage. The thought snapped him out of his playful mood, and he felt a flush of embarrassment at his own foolishness. Liam arrived not long after. Evan had just finished giving Comet a treat when he heard the sound of the key in the lock. He hurried to the door. When Liam opened it, he was greeted by the sight of Evan smiling at him. "You're back," Evan said. Liam confirmed he was. Evan reached out and took the coat from Liam's hands, hanging it by the door. Liam seemed a little taken aback. He closed the door behind him, his eyes following Evan. Evan commented that he hadn't seen him wearing that coat on the live stream. Liam, bending down to change his shoes, explained that it had been warm inside the venue. Evan stepped back to give him space, his hands clasped behind his back. "Saw the handsome guy in the gold-rimmed glasses," he said. Liam smiled and inclined his head in thanks. Evan asked what was for dinner. Liam listed off a simple menu: sautéed greens, stir-fried beef, braised potatoes, and a pork rib and corn soup. Evan agreed enthusiastically. Liam teased him for being so agreeable. Evan pouted, saying it just meant he was easy to take care of. Liam reached out and pinched his cheek, asking who was going to take care of him. Evan's reply was a confident "you are," before he turned and darted away. Dinner was simple and quick. Afterward, they cleaned up the kitchen together and then settled in the living room. They turned on a nature documentary, this time about elephants. Even Comet seemed captivated. Liam and Evan sat on the rug, leaning against the sofa, with the cat curled up between them. Outside, the sky was completely dark. Liam had drawn the curtains halfway. The main overhead light was off, leaving the room bathed in the soft, warm glow of the accent lighting around the ceiling. The three of them looked like a small family. At the end of the episode, the television automatically started the next one. Liam, apparently thirsty, asked Evan what he wanted to drink. Normally, Evan would have asked for water, but tonight he asked if there was any alcohol. Liam, who had been about to get up, turned to look at him, surprised. He asked if Evan wanted to drink. Evan gave a short, challenging laugh, asking if he wasn't allowed. Liam assured him he was, then asked if he preferred beer or something else. Evan chose beer. As Liam walked to the kitchen, the scene on the TV changed, and the screen went dark for a moment. By the time the next scene, a wide shot of a savanna, lit up the room, Liam was opening the refrigerator. He took out 2 cans of beer, but just as he was closing the door, he glanced back at the living room. Evan was leaning on the sofa, his attention fixed on the screen. Liam opened the fridge again, put the beers back, and reached for 2 different bottles from further inside. Evan knew Liam kept beer in his fridge. But when he returned, the bottles in his hands were a different color than he remembered. He asked what they were. Liam set them on the coffee table, explaining they were fruit-flavored. They were imported with Japanese writing on the labels. Judging by the pictures, Evan identified them as passion fruit and green apple. When Liam asked which one he wanted, Evan waved his hand dismissively, declaring that only children made choices. Liam laughed and opened both bottles with a flick of his wrist. Evan, impressed, exclaimed over the one-handed trick. Liam seemed amused by his excitement. Evan retorted that he was wowed by everything his bro did now. Liam reached over and playfully pinched his cheek again. It wasn't just the bottle-opening trick that had Evan's attention. When Liam had come home, he had taken off his suit jacket and tie, unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his white shirt, and rolled up his sleeves. In the bright lights of the kitchen, it hadn't seemed like much, but in the soft, dim lighting of the living room, it was a different story. Liam had a subtle, lean muscle tone from his regular gym visits and morning runs. Liam placed both open bottles in front of Evan, asking if 2 was enough. Evan suddenly felt less bold, admitting he just wanted a taste and would give Liam whatever he couldn't finish. Liam gave him an I-knew-it look. The weather was cool but not yet cold. A long sip of the chilled drink was invigorating. The tart flavor of passion fruit hit his tongue first, followed by an icy trail that he could feel all the way down his throat. He let out a sigh of satisfaction and offered the bottle to Liam, who simply leaned in and took a sip from the bottle Evan was holding. Evan then picked up the green apple bottle. The second sip didn't have the same shocking coldness as the first. He took a drink, then offered it to Liam in the same way. When Liam asked which was better, Evan said he preferred the passion fruit. He also noted, with some confusion, that he couldn't taste any alcohol. Liam explained that the fruit concentration was high. That made sense to Evan. He figured it was just how imported drinks were. He asked if these had a higher alcohol content than domestic fruit wines. Liam told him they were about the same. It was like drinking soda, Evan remarked, taking another sip. Liam agreed, saying he often drank them like soda. Evan pointed out that even if they tasted like soda, Liam, with his high tolerance, shouldn't drive after drinking them. Liam promised he wouldn't. The documentary continued. Evan found a couple of bags of chips in the coffee table drawer. Just then, Liam's phone rang. Evan glanced over and saw the name Ian on the screen. Liam answered, putting the phone on speaker as he opened the chips for Evan. Ian's voice came through, complaining that Liam wasn't answering his texts. Liam calmly replied that he was watching a nature documentary. Ian was incredulous. He cut to the chase, saying their poker game was still 1 player short and asking if Liam would come. Evan froze, the bottle to his lips. Liam's answer was a simple no. Evan relaxed and took another drink. Ian then suggested he bring his baby along. Liam informed him that his baby was right there next to him. Ian, after a moment of surprise, greeted Evan, who returned the hello. When Ian asked if he wanted to play poker, Evan shot Liam a panicked "how do I say no" look. Liam took over, telling Ian that Evan didn't play and they weren't coming. Ian whined in protest, asking what they were doing at home anyway. Liam's cryptic "don't ask" was met with a sudden burst of understanding and laughter from Ian. Liam, saying he had nothing else to say, hung up. As the call ended, Evan's mind was stuck on one phrase: your baby. Was Ian talking about him? If so, had Liam told him about the babe dare? Was he teasing, or was there something more to it? Before he could figure it out, Liam's question cut through his thoughts, asking why he had suddenly wanted to drink tonight. The question was more awkward than the one he had been pondering. He fumbled for an answer, finally settling on a defiant "why not?" Liam just smiled. Evan added a lame excuse about alcohol helping him sleep, which led Liam to ask if he'd been having trouble sleeping lately. Evan denied it. Liam's next question hit closer to home. "Not afraid you'll kiss me this time?" Evan quickly took a long drink from the bottle, buying himself time to think. He mumbled that he would probably pass out soon, adding that he always slept better at Liam's place and that he wasn't drinking much anyway, so it should be fine. He wasn't sure if his performance was convincing. Liam made a non-committal sound that could have been anything. Evan took another sip. Unseen by Liam, he discreetly removed his watch and slipped it into his pocket, just in case it decided to betray him with an alert. Strangely, even after finishing most of the bottle, Evan felt nothing. It was as if he really was just drinking soda. Maybe the effects were delayed. The documentary ended, and a new one began. Evan had finished one bag of chips, and the bottle was almost empty. His mind, however, was stubbornly, frustratingly clear. Neither of them said anything about watching the next episode. Evan was content to just sit there with Liam, even without the television. He wondered what Liam was thinking. From an objective standpoint, they were being quite boring. Maybe they should have gone to play poker. He took another sip and immediately chided himself for his straight man thinking. Poker? What was wrong with him? As the next documentary began, Evan snuck a glance at Liam. It was a mistake. The loose collar of his shirt, the rolled-up sleeves revealing his forearms, the way he leaned against the sofa with one leg propped up, his fingers loosely holding the bottle, and the gold-rimmed glasses perched on his nose as he watched the television with a lazy, heavy-lidded gaze. He reminded Evan of the lion they had just been watching, relaxed but still radiating a potent, predatory energy. The light from the TV reflected off the small black clip holding back his hair. As the clip moved, Liam tilted his head back to take a drink. Evan's eyes were drawn to the movement of his throat as he swallowed. He found himself swallowing as well. It was only then that he felt the first hint of a light, dizzying buzz. He decided his gaze had been too intense for too long. Just as he thought it, Liam turned and met his eyes. Evan decided he couldn't wait any longer. If he was drinking, then pretending to be drunk was just part of the experience. Drunk or not, he was going to be drunk tonight. He felt surprisingly calm. As their eyes met, he gave Liam a slow, deliberate smile. Liam reached out and gently smoothed the hair on Evan's forehead. The touch sent a jolt through him. When Liam's hand dropped back to the arm of the sofa, Evan was about to make his next move. But Liam spoke first. "Come here." After a half-second delay, Evan obeyed, scooting closer until he was right beside him. He decided that saying less was the best strategy. He would act slowly, deliberately. As he leaned back, he found that Liam's arm, which had been resting on the sofa, was now perfectly positioned behind his neck, a casual, unintentional embrace. Then, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, Liam's arm tightened, pulling him in. Evan hid a triumphant smile. The documentary was now showing crocodiles in a river, but Evan wasn't paying attention. His entire focus was on the hand resting on his shoulder. He desperately wanted to hold it. Even just a finger would be enough. He needed to touch him, and so he lifted his own hand. But just as their fingers were about to meet, Liam moved. Evan's hand froze midair as he watched Liam's hand rise and cup his chin. His long fingers gently scraped against his jaw before turning to hold it firmly. The touch was feather-light, almost ticklish, and it sent a thrill through Evan. He could feel the blood pulsing in his fingertips, a warmth spreading through his head and neck. He took a slow, deep breath. Liam's hand loosened its grip on his chin, but before he could pull away, Evan caught it. He turned his body, facing Liam directly. His heart was pounding, a frantic rhythm against his ribs. As Liam turned to look at him, it felt like his heart would leap out of his throat. He looked into Liam's eyes, then let his gaze drop to his lips. Everything about this moment felt like a temptation. He blinked once, then leaned in, his own lips brushing against the corner of Liam's mouth in a hesitant, barely there kiss. He started to pull back, but Liam wouldn't let him. He freed the hand Evan was holding and threaded his fingers through Evan's hair, cupping the back of his head. Evan was trapped. He couldn't read the emotion in Liam's eyes. Could have been surprise or something else entirely. "What does this mean?" Liam asked, his voice low. Evan opened his mouth to answer, but his nervous mind reminded him that silence was his best defense right now. He closed it again. A slow smile spread across Liam's face. He watched Evan's eyes for a moment longer, then tightened his arm. Evan felt a gentle pressure on the back of his head. In the next second, Liam tilted his head, their noses brushing past each other, and kissed him back. Evan's mind went blank. He was already a nervous wreck from initiating the kiss while pretending to be drunk. But Liam kissing him back was something he hadn't prepared for. His body reacted before his brain could, leaning back, trying to create distance. He needed to escape. He scrambled to his feet and headed for the bathroom. Halfway there, he realized how ridiculous he was being. Why was he running? But it was too late to turn back. He committed to the role, his steps unsteady, even adding a convincing stumble for good measure. He closed the bathroom door and flicked on the light. The face staring back at him in the mirror was flushed a deep red, from his cheeks all the way down his neck. He wondered if it was from the alcohol or from Liam's kiss. It had to be the kiss. He remembered the video Liam had sent him before. His complexion had been normal then. He leaned closer to the mirror, pulling at his collar, trying to see how far the blush went. But his mind was replaying the last few minutes. It was like watching a slow-motion movie from an outside perspective. He saw himself tentatively kissing the corner of Liam's mouth, and then he saw Liam grabbing him, kissing him back with a firm, undeniable pressure. His own kiss had been so light he could barely remember the sensation, but Liam's was different. He could recall every detail. The feeling of his hand in his hair, the way his nose had brushed against his, the soft, warm pressure of his lips. They were so soft. He realized the fool in the mirror was grinning from ear to ear. He quickly wiped the expression off his face, then decided, why not? And let the smile return. This was incredible. The adrenaline from his bizarre performance had shocked him into a state of hyper-awareness. He licked his lips, as if trying to taste the memory. Nothing. Now what? A single, clear thought cut through the chaos in his brain. Stick to the plan. He had to keep pretending to be drunk. There was no other way to explain his behavior. Worried that he had been in the bathroom for too long, he washed his hands and went back out. He didn't return to the living room but stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame for support, hoping the dim light would obscure his face. "I'm gonna take a shower," he announced. From the living room, Liam, without even looking at him, simply said, "Go ahead." Remembering his less is more strategy. Evan said nothing else and walked, with a carefully practiced sway, to the master bedroom, closing the door behind him. His pajamas and toiletries were already there. Fearing Liam might come in at any moment, he grabbed everything he needed and rushed into the ensuite bathroom. A short while later, he heard Liam come into the bedroom to use the main bathroom. By the time he was done, Evan was already in bed, feigning sleep. It was the only performance he could manage at this point. The rest of the night proceeded as usual. Liam got into bed beside him. A glance at his watch told Evan it was past midnight. It was time to sleep, but he couldn't. He lay with his eyes closed, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts and yet completely empty at the same time. The sound of his own heart, a frantic drumming against the pillow, was deafening. After a few minutes of scrolling on his phone, Liam turned off the light. The sudden darkness was a relief. Evan hadn't realized how tense his body had been. He let out a small, silent breath. But his relaxation was short-lived. He felt something touch his face. It was Liam's hand, cupping his cheek. His skin was cool while Liam's hand was warm. He felt a thumb gently stroking his eyebrow, his eyelid, the bridge of his nose. He focused on keeping his breathing even, hoping the darkness would hide any flush that might be creeping up his neck. Finally, Liam's thumb came to rest on his lower lip. "Are you asleep?" he whispered. Evan remained still, committed to his role. He felt the thumb press a little harder, and then it was replaced by something else. The familiar, soft pressure made his eyes want to fly open. Liam was kissing him again. This time he lingered. When he finally pulled away, their warm breaths mingled in the small space between them. He felt Liam stroke his hair, whisper goodnight, and then roll over. Evan was left alone in the dark, his heart racing, his breathing uneven. He had no memory of falling asleep, only of replaying the question over and over in his mind. Liam had asked him what his kiss meant. He wanted to ask Liam the same thing. The next morning, they woke up to the sound of Liam's custom alarm on Evan's phone. Evan woke first, holding the phone close to Liam's ear for a few seconds before turning it off. Liam groaned, pulling the covers over his face. "Morning," he mumbled. "Morning," Evan replied. "Are you getting up with me?" A sleepy hum was the only response. They ate a simple breakfast of oatmeal and eggs before leaving together. Under normal circumstances, Evan would have asked some probing questions about the previous night's events, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. Pretending to be drunk and asleep was one thing. Pretending to have amnesia was a bridge too far. Besides, his own behavior had been so forward that he was still trying to process it himself. And Liam had gone along with it. His fragile morning psyche couldn't handle a postmortem of last night. As they neared his office building, Liam took a call, putting it on speaker. Evan learned that Liam had to go on a business trip. After he hung up, Evan asked when he was leaving. Liam said it wasn't set yet. He had a meeting at the studio first. He then asked when he would be back. 3 to 5 days was the answer. Evan pressed, asking if it was 3 or 5. Liam turned a corner, a hint of a smile in his voice as he asked, "Do you want it to be 3 days or 5? It was a loaded question. 3, of course, Evan replied. "Why?" Liam asked, his smile now audible. "Because 5 days is too tiring," Evan said. "Oh, Evan," Liam said, his voice a mixture of amusement and exasperation. It was Evan's turn to laugh as he asked what was wrong. Liam didn't answer, simply reaching over and pinching his cheek. The car pulled up in front of his office. Before he got out, Evan made Liam promise to tell him his travel plans as soon as the meeting was over. Liam agreed. It was only after the car had driven away that the full meaning of their conversation hit him. He touched his chin, a slow smile spreading across his face. Was Liam flirting with him? Certainly seemed like it. He bit his lip, regretting his clumsy, practical answer. He should have been smoother. As he rode the elevator up to his office, another wave of realization washed over him. His reason for wanting Liam back in 3 days wasn't just about him being overworked. It was because he wanted to see him sooner. Why was his mouth so stupid? At his desk, a third thought struck him. Did Liam already know? An hour later, a message from Liam confirmed his travel plans. He was leaving for Denver that afternoon on an 11 a.m. flight and would be back Friday night. The text was followed by a picture of the 2 bottles of fruit wine from the night before. Evan didn't understand why he had sent it, but he trusted Liam had a reason. He opened his browser and searched for the brand. The results made him shoot up from his chair so fast that everyone in the office turned to look at him. He offered an awkward smile and sat back down. It wasn't fruit wine. It wasn't even alcohol. It was just soda. A cold, paralyzing wave of embarrassment washed over him. Soda. He replayed the entire night in his head. His dramatic kiss, Liam's response, his unsteady walk to the bathroom, his feigned sleep on the bed. He buried his head in his arms on the desk, groaning in despair. He couldn't believe himself. He couldn't believe Liam. After a long moment, he picked up his phone again. The picture of the soda bottles now seemed to be taunting him, as if Liam himself were asking, "How are you going to explain this?" Evan felt a new level of mortification. There was no point in pretending anymore. He opened his keyboard and, after a long hesitation, typed out a single pathetic sentence. So embarrassing. He dropped his head back onto his desk. A moment later, his phone vibrated. A reply from Liam. "It's not." Evan let out a humorless laugh. He was grateful that Liam hadn't called him out last night. He might have actually died of shame. He was also incredibly glad that Liam was leaving town. He couldn't face him right now. Liam's next message appeared. "So, can you answer my question from yesterday now?" Evan took a deep, steadying breath. With slow, deliberate movements, he typed 3 words. "I'm pursuing you." Sending the message felt like a release, a confession that washed away the embarrassment of the previous night. He sat up and continued typing, explaining that he had been waiting for the right moment to tell him. Liam's reply came instantly. "Now is the right moment." A small smile touched Evan's lips. His earlier analysis had been correct. Emboldened, he typed, "The reason I hope you're back in 3 days is because I want to see you sooner. 5 days is too long." He stared at his phone, watching the typing. Notification appear and disappear. Then the new message popped up. "I'll miss you." Evan froze. Liam had said it so directly, so simply. Felt like a sneak attack. He could feel a rush of dopamine flooding his system. A strange and exhilarating sensation. A wide, uncontrollable grin spread across his face. He quickly glanced around the office, relieved to see that no one was paying attention to him. He typed back a cheerful "Okay, work hard, see you Friday." After confirming that Liam had no more messages, he finally settled down to work. That afternoon, Liam texted him to say he had landed safely in Denver. For the rest of the day, Evan found himself repeatedly pulling out his phone, not to check for new messages, but to reread that one sentence. "I'll miss you." The thought that Liam would miss him was like a new piece of software installed in his brain, making his entire day feel fresh and exciting. This was real. This was flirting. Later that afternoon, a message from Caleb arrived. "Are you and Liam together?" Evan was surprised by the question. He replied, "Not yet." Caleb responded, "Wow, that 'not yet' is very telling. What happened last night?" The memory of his fake drunk escapade came rushing back, bringing with it a fresh wave of embarrassment. He deflected, asking Caleb why he was asking. Caleb sent a screenshot of Liam's Instagram story from the middle of the night. It was just a series of 9 identical stickers of a cartoon character banging its head on the floor, surrounded by a flurry of hearts. Evan had been so wrapped up in his own drama that he had missed it. He replied with a simple "We might have accidentally kissed." Caleb was not satisfied. "Accidentally?" he pressed. "What do you mean?" Evan offered a vague explanation about the atmosphere being right. He decided to keep the part about the soda to himself for now. Caleb was relentless. What do you mean the atmosphere was right? And what happened after you kissed? Evan chose to answer only the second question. We went to sleep. Caleb was incredulous. That's it? You were able to sleep? Evan lied, saying he had slept very well. His brother saw right through him. You chickened out, didn't you? Evan begged him to stop. Realizing he wouldn't get any more details, Caleb changed the subject. See? I told you he likes you. Evan replied, I guess so? Caleb corrected him. Get rid of the I guess. Evan smiled to himself as he typed, he likes me, before quickly adding that he had to get back to work. He then went to Liam's Instagram story, liked it, and left a comment. Still up at 3 a.m.? By the time he finished his work for the day, Liam had replied to his comment. How could I sleep? Evan worked a little late that night. Liam was also busy. It wasn't until after Evan had gotten home, showered, and played a round of a game on his phone that Liam finally called. The moment the call connected, Evan switched out of the game. He greeted him cheerfully. Liam returned the greeting. Evan commented on how tired he sounded. Liam sighed in agreement. After confirming that he was back in his hotel room, Evan told him to go take a shower. Liam said he wanted to sit for a bit first. Evan told him that was fine and that he would keep him company. He launched into a detailed update on the ongoing drama between two managers in a neighboring department, a saga he had been narrating to Liam for weeks. He was in the middle of his story when he heard a doorbell ring on Liam's end. He immediately stopped talking. Liam commented on his sharp hearing. Evan laughed. He had been tracking the delivery on his phone. He heard Liam open the door and a stranger's voice ask if he was Mr. Right. Then the door closed. You sent this? Liam asked. Evan's happy hee-hee was met with a flat tone from Liam, who wondered why he sounded so calm. Liam pointed out that Evan had asked for his room number that afternoon. Evan let out a long, disappointed ah. Liam continued, so I've been looking forward to it all afternoon. What was Mr. Evan's planning? Evan's good mood was instantly restored. He had sent a bouquet of flowers and a selection of Liam's favorite snacks. Tucked into the flowers was a small card. Evan wasn't good with words, so he had only written for Miss Me Properly. It was the most romantic thing he could come up with. He hoped Liam wouldn't find it cheesy. Liam's voice came through the phone, thanking Mr. Evans for the snacks, the flowers, and the card. He said he liked it very much. Evan beamed, saying he was glad. Then Liam added, I will. It took Evan a second to understand. When he did, he asked if he was sending too many flowers. Liam's response was quick. No. Each time is different. Evan agreed, saying each time had a different meaning. When Liam asked what this time's meaning was, Evan accused him of playing dumb. Liam feigned ignorance. Evan said it quickly. I'm pursuing you. Liam laughed. Okay, Mr. Evans. Liam still hadn't gone to take his shower, but Evan didn't push him. He had noticed a slight tendency towards procrastination in Liam during his stays at his apartment. It wasn't a problem. Liam was surprisingly obedient when prompted. They fell into a comfortable silence. Evan closed the delivery app and slumped onto his sofa, just as Liam was likely doing in his hotel room. He asked what Liam was doing. Liam's reply made his smile vanish. I'm talking to the person I have a crush on. Evan's voice was unsteady as he asked, I thought you two weren't in contact anymore? Liam's tone was one of profound exasperation. Does anyone object if I say Evan is an idiot? Evan was confused. Liam repeated, a complete idiot. A frown creased Evan's brow. But then, it hit him. Oh, wait a minute. He needed to think this through. If Liam's crush was him in the present, that made sense. But the way he said it implied something more. He suddenly remembered Caleb's theory that Liam's crush had always been him. He had to know. His voice was weak as he asked, "Are you talking about before or now?" Liam let out a long, weary sigh. "Evan," he said, "it's always been you." Evan was speechless. Liam once again called him an idiot. His brain felt like it was short-circuiting. Liam announced he was going to take a shower, leaving Evan to think it over. As soon as he was gone, Evan's mind raced back to the conversation they had on the high-speed train to their last business trip. How had Liam described his first meeting with his crush? He said the person had taken a candid photo of him, and at their second meeting, Liam had asked for their number. A candid photo? Asked for a number? Evan replayed his own first encounters with Liam. His brow, which had been furrowed in concentration, suddenly smoothed out, and he let out a frustrated laugh. Of course, at their first meeting on that mountain trail, Liam had taken a candid photo of him. And at the coffee shop that afternoon, their second meeting, Evan had asked for his number. He had just switched the roles. He tried to recall the rest of the conversation from the train. Liam had said he was very forward. He had thought he was being obvious. He had said they were in frequent contact. He had said the person knew he was on that business trip. He had said they had gone out for dinner and movies. He had said the person was very dense. Evan substituted himself into the story, and to his astonishment, every single detail fit perfectly. A third version of Liam's crush story unfolded in his mind, and this time, the faceless person next to him was undeniably himself. No wonder he could never find any trace of this mysterious crush in their lives. He realized something else, something incredibly funny. Liam had thought he was being obvious, and he had also said he wasn't sure if it was love at first sight. This meant that their understanding of their relationship had diverged almost from the very beginning. While Evan had been genuinely focused on building a friendship, Liam had thought they were flirting. Until Evan had declared that he wasn't gay. The realization made him laugh out loud. It was hilarious. He had been such a jerk. He had kissed Liam while drunk, sent him flowers, brought him food, and shown up at his house late at night. And just when Liam thought his feelings were being reciprocated, Evan had told him he was straight. Caleb was right. He was lucky Liam hadn't killed him. He was like a detective solving a puzzle, fitting all the pieces of their past interactions together. It all made sense now. He picked up his phone and sent 4 words to Liam. "I am an idiot." It was true. Their story was a comedy of errors. A few minutes later, Liam replied, "As long as you know." The 4 words made Evan laugh again. He immediately called him. "Finished with your shower?" he asked. Liam gave him a full report. Showered, hair dried, dressed, and about to get into bed. Evan praised him for being so good. Liam asked if he had figured it out. Evan, smiling, confirmed that he had. When Liam asked how much he had figured out, Evan tested his theory. "At the very beginning, when we first met, did you misunderstand something about me?" There was a long pause on the other end before Liam said, "You've figured out too much." Evan burst out laughing again. He pressed, asking what Liam had been thinking back then. After another moment of silence, Liam said, "I choose not to discuss this." Evan's smile only widened. "Why not?" he teased. "It's embarrassing, Mr. Evans." Evan was now laughing so hard he fell back onto his bed. He assured him it wasn't. He asked one last time if it was true. Liam's resigned "Amham" was his confirmation. When Evan started laughing again, Liam said his name. his tone a mixture of helplessness and affection. Evan. Evan immediately stopped laughing. Liam's voice was low, almost a whisper. "You're bullying me." It sounded like a complaint, but also like a plea. "I'm not," Evan said, rolling over onto his stomach, his own voice softening. "Am I?" Liam then asked, "Are you going to take responsibility for it?" Evan's answer was immediate and firm. "Of course. I'll definitely take responsibility." The next few days passed in a blur of parallel lives. They were both busy with their own work, but they made time to appear in each other's lives. Evan took his role as the pursuer seriously, with regular check-ins and thoughtful gestures. He researched the best takeout places in Denver and had food delivered to Liam's hotel, under the guise of wanting Liam to try it for him. Liam had promised to be back in 3 days, which could have meant Friday night or Saturday morning. He chose Friday night. It also happened to be their friend Leo's birthday. The celebration was an all-night affair, starting with dinner, followed by karaoke, and ending with a late-night boat party on the river. Liam's flight would get in too late for anything but the boat party. He suggested on the phone that Evan go ahead without him. Evan immediately refused. Liam laughed, telling him to wait for him then. Evan had just left work, while Liam still had one more meeting to attend. Evan was worried he wouldn't make it in time. Liam said it would be tight, but he thought he could manage. Evan lamented the unfortunate timing of Leo's birthday, saying that otherwise, Liam wouldn't have to rush. Liam laughed again. "You don't think I'm rushing back for his birthday, do you?" Evan was confused. "What else would it be?" "Oh, Evan," Liam said, his voice full of exasperated affection. Evan understood, but he needed to hear it. You're coming back to see me?" "Yes, I am," Liam confirmed, mimicking the slight stutter Evan had developed. Evan immediately backpedaled, saying that was too much of a rush and that coming back tomorrow would have been fine. A soft sigh came from the other end. "Oh, Evan." Evan immediately realized his mistake and apologized. Liam's tired laugh was audible. "Sleep at my place tonight." Evan agreed. "Okay, I have to go to my meeting now. I'll call you when it's over." After hanging up, Evan let out a helpless laugh of his own. What was wrong with him? He needed to reflect. Halfway through his dinner, he picked up his phone and opened his chat with Liam. He stared at the keyboard for a moment, then switched to the voice message function. He held down the button and said, "Bro, I want to see you sooner too." He immediately dropped his phone on the table as if it were hot, then picked it up again to listen to his own message. He dropped it again. It sounded so cheesy. He shoveled 2 more mouthfuls of rice into his mouth. A few moments later, Liam's reply came. A single word, "Good." Evan almost buried his face in his arms to hide his smile, but stopped himself when he remembered his greasy mouth. Another message from Liam appeared. The Evan on WeChat, the Evan on the phone, and the Evan in real life are 3 different people. Liam understood him better than he understood himself. Evan typed back, "Wow, does that mean you have 3 people pursuing you?" Liam's reply was instantaneous. "How wonderful!" An hour later, Liam's meeting was over, and he was on his way to the airport. Evan was on the phone with him, experiencing the rush vicariously. Every red light, every traffic jam made Evan more nervous than Liam. Thankfully, the snacks Evan had sent him the first day meant he wasn't traveling on an empty stomach. And since he had no checked luggage, he was able to get his ticket and go straight through security. He ended up with 10 minutes to spare. Exciting, wasn't it? Liam asked. Very, Evan admitted. Liam asked if he had ever had to rush to catch a flight before. Evan said he never had. Liam praised his planning. Evan teased him, saying he seemed like someone who was always rushing. Liam agreed. When Evan asked if he had ever missed a flight, Liam said he hadn't. Evan accused him of being proud of it. Liam laughed, saying he would learn from Evan from now on. Evan told him he should. He was such a procrastinator. I've been scolded by Mr. Evans, Liam said, his tone mock serious. Reflect on your actions, Evan ordered. I am reflecting. Liam had to board, so they hung up. A little while later, Evan received a message from him. Taking off. It was followed by another. See you soon, babe. Evan felt like he had been ambushed again. He simply replied, okay. He had once thought that if he and Liam ever became more than friends, it would just be a change in title, nothing more. He knew now how wrong he was. It was completely different. Liam was slowly, carefully, pulling him closer, dropping little bombs of affection that exploded into small fireworks, each one laying another stone on the path between them. He was raising Evan's tolerance for intimacy, showing him a world beyond friendship. He was very good at it. The flight was an hour and a half. As soon as he landed, Liam called him again. He was through the gate and at baggage claim in no time. Evan saw him from a distance, striding towards him in his stylish trench coat, pulling a small suitcase, a smile on his face. For some reason, Evan felt a little shy, a little awkward. The real-life Evan was here now. How long have you been waiting? Liam asked as he reached him. Just a little while, Evan said, then added, you look handsome, bro. Liam pinched his cheek. Did you miss me? The shyness intensified. Was he supposed to answer that? He mumbled an affirmative then quickly changed the subject, asking if they should buy a gift for Leo. Liam ignored the second half of his question. You missed me, huh? Forced to confront it, Evan admitted that he had. Only then did Liam answer the question about the gift, saying that their presence was enough. As he spoke, Evan opened his jacket to reveal a small bouquet of flowers tucked into his inside pocket. Liam saw them and smiled. Evan grinned back, explaining that he felt too awkward to carry a large bouquet through the crowded airport. Liam moved closer, their bodies almost touching, and opened his own jacket. Understanding the gesture, Evan carefully transferred the flowers from his pocket to Liam's. Once they were hidden, Liam closed his jacket. It was a silly, childish game, but it made Evan laugh like an idiot. When the clandestine operation was complete, Liam stroked his head. Thank you, Mr. Evans. You're welcome, Evan replied. I'm giving Mr. Evans a point for that, Liam said. How many? Evan asked. Full marks. The mention of points reminded Evan. Guess how many points I gave you over the last 3 days, he challenged. Liam guessed 20. Evan scoffed at his overconfidence. How many then? Liam asked, laughing at himself. 8, Evan said. That's a lot. Liam adopted a mock-offended tone. Thank you, Mr. Evans. I give you full marks and you give me 8. Evan shot him a look. The boat party was already in full swing when they arrived. The pier was crowded with familiar faces, some on the shore, some already on the boat. Ian spotted them first. His eyes immediately went to their intertwined hands. Ho, he said with a grin. Is this an oh-ho moment? Liam didn't answer, instead grabbing the back of Ian's neck and pushing him forward a few steps. Ian yelped, squirming away. What was that for? Liam asked, his voice low. You're very good at making phone calls, aren't you? Ian was confused, but Evan understood perfectly. Just then, the birthday boy Leo saw them. Oho! He exclaimed, echoing Ian. What's this? What's going on here? He pointed dramatically at their joined hands. Everyone turned to look. Evan instinctively ducked behind Liam. Liam pulled him to the side. then lightly punched Leo on the shoulder. "Happy birthday." Evan peeked out from behind him. "Happy birthday," he added. The sight of him made Leo laugh. "Your boyfriend is adorable." "I know," Liam said. Leo's eyebrows shot up. "Oh, so he is your boyfriend now?" Liam turned to look at Evan, a question in his eyes. "Are you my boyfriend?" Evan nodded. "Yes." Leo let out a whoop of excitement, which Liam quickly silenced with a look. "Don't make a big deal," he said. "We just got together." Leo immediately calmed down. Right. Congratulations." "Thanks," Liam said coolly. "Stop pretending," Leo said. "If you want to smile, just smile." And Liam did smile. "Get lost," he said, shoving him playfully. "Seriously, congratulations," Leo said, turning to Evan. "You have no idea what this guy—" He trailed off, glancing at Liam. "Not going to stop me?" "Go ahead," Liam said, unfazed. "I'm serious," Leo warned. "I'm waiting," Liam replied, looking as if he couldn't care less. Leo leaned in towards Evan. "Did you know our dear Liam cried his eyes out over you until 3 in the morning?" Evan was stunned. Leo, satisfied with the reaction, walked away, his laughter hanging in the air. Evan turned to Liam, his mouth agape. Liam let out a long, deliberate sigh. "It's true." "When?" Evan asked. "The Friday night of the week you were ignoring me." The specific detail made it more believable. You cried?" Evan asked, still incredulous. "I cried," Liam confirmed. Evan wasn't convinced. Just then, they boarded the boat, and Leo reappeared at his side. Evan immediately asked him if it was true. Leo burst out laughing. He looked at Liam. "You're good at seizing an opportunity, aren't you?" Liam just shrugged, a proud little smirk on his face. Evan finally understood. "You didn't cry," he said, pouting. "You seemed disappointed," Liam observed. Evan tilted his head, admitting that he was. "Would it make you happy if I cried?" Liam asked. Evan, who had a sticker for that exact expression, burst out laughing. They found a spot at the stern of the boat. As soon as they sat down, Evan placed his hand in Liam's, letting him hold it. "So you knew I was ignoring you that week," he said. "I'm not an idiot," Liam replied. Evan narrowed his eyes. "I feel like you're subtly insulting me." Liam tucked their joined hands into his pocket. "Are you cold?" Evan shook his head. "The lights on the boardwalk are on," Liam said, changing the subject. Evan looked across the water at the glowing wooden path. He told Liam he had only been there once with his friend Cole. He pointed to a spot and described seeing a giant rat. Liam laughed at his animated gestures, asking if he was afraid of rats. Evan said he wasn't, but Cole was terrified. The wind picked up, a sudden gust against his face. "Now I'm cold," he said, shivering. He continued his story, describing how Cole had jumped in fright, landing right in front of the equally startled rat. His scream had been deafening. "We should go see the snow," Evan said suddenly, turning to look at Liam. They both started laughing. It was a random thought, but Liam was used to his impulsiveness. "Up north?" he asked. Evan's vague idea began to take shape. "How about tomorrow? Are you free?" Liam grinned. "Let's go?" "Let's go." In less than a minute, they had decided on Aspen. A minute after that, they had booked 2 tickets for a 9 a.m. flight. When the confirmation email arrived, Evan could only think one word: wow. He was used to having people go along with his crazy ideas, but with Liam it felt different. He was so excited he felt like he could fly to Aspen right then and there. The wind grew stronger, and someone from inside the cabin called out to them. They went inside, where a chaotic game of cards was in progress. The group was loud and boisterous, clearly a few drinks in. Evan loved Liam's friends. They were so much fun. But the late hour was catching up to him. After his second yawn, Liam asked if he was tired. Evan nodded. Liam suggested they could leave. Evan was worried it would be rude. Liam pointed out that it was past midnight. It wasn't technically Leo's birthday anymore. The logic made Evan laugh. Liam went to tell Leo they were leaving. Leo was disappointed but understanding, especially when Liam said he was tired from his trip. He made them promise to let him treat them to a make-up birthday dinner. At the next stop, Ian also came to see them off. Leaving so soon? Tomorrow's the weekend, he said. Liam explained their spontaneous trip to Aspen. Ian was surprised. Leo, who had overheard, was also taken aback by the suddenness of it. We want to see the snow, Liam said simply. Leo looked at Evan. He just dragged you along? Evan smiled shyly. It was my idea. You two are soulmates, Leo declared. He looked at Liam. Now you have someone to be crazy with. We're crazy together, Liam corrected him. Right. Crazy together. It was a perfect description. On the way home, Evan yawned again. Liam pulled his head down to rest on his shoulder. It was warm in the car, and Liam was even warmer. That tired? Liam asked, his hand still on Evan's head. He stroked his cheek. It was a comforting, gentle touch. Evan snuggled closer. It's okay. Liam's thumb rested on the tip of his nose. Your face is cold. The wind, Evan mumbled. Liam's hand shifted, cupping his chin. He leaned his own head over and pressed a soft kiss to Evan's forehead. The small, intimate gesture in the aftermath of the cold wind made Evan feel even closer to him. The ride was surprisingly short. They were back at the apartment building in just 6 minutes. The residential complex was silent. Evan, still groggy, followed Liam upstairs. As Liam closed the door behind them, Evan reached for the light switch in the entryway. Before he could flip it, his wrist was grabbed. Liam pulled him close and, without, kissed him. The suddenness of it shocked Evan awake. It was a brief, gentle kiss, just a touch of their lips, and then he pulled away. Moonlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the small space. Evan looked up at Liam, blinking slowly. You still haven't said you like me, Liam said, his voice low, his grip still firm on Evan's wrist. A slow smile spread across Evan's face. The tender moment from the car was continuing here, now. Liam's voice was the same deep, quiet tone he used when they talked in bed late at night, each word a soft blow to Evan's heart. Evan's eyes curved into crescents, but instead of answering, he just said, "Ah." Liam pulled him closer, his other arm wrapping around his waist, and laughed. What? Say it," Liam urged. Say what? Evan teased. Liam captured his other hand, pinning both behind his back, pressing him firmly against his body. Say you like me. He leaned down, his voice a whisper against Evan's ear. Evan. Taking advantage of his proximity, Evan leaned up and kissed him again. Okay, then, he said, his voice barely a whisper. I like you. He didn't dare meet Liam's eyes, burying his face in his shoulder as soon as the words were out. But Liam wasn't done. He released his hands only to cup the back of his head, holding him in place. Perfect, final embrace.